Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. In Portland, we've just seen a massive overproduction where too many producers were allowed licenses, and now there's over 1 million pounds in excess. So between Canada's quality control and Oregon's pricing control, there's definitely some issues within the marketplace. Portland is seeing $6 eighth of an ounce as the future of cannabis. I've seen prices as low as 8 cents a gram for B-grade bud and trim, with retail prices in Seattle as low as $40. Businesses and investors in emerging cannabis markets need to prepare for around 50 cents a gram wholesale. There's a big spread between what the producers are trying to ask and what the processors are willing to spend. So for example, a 1 gram joint from a producer in Washington is trying to be sold for $1.70 that I've seen. And then yet the buyer is only willing to spend 50 cents. So that margin is obviously going to have to come back to reality. Otherwise, those individuals will be out of business, especially with the automated machines coming out. That reminds me, you got to check back to the automated episode we'll be hosting at the World Trade Center, April 19th for automation with machinery, joints, blunts, pre-rolls, packaging. It'll be a good one. You might not be seeing it yet, but the price of cannabis is crashing nationwide. To see the future of cannabis prices, just go to Portland, Oregon, where an eighth of an ounce used to cost as much as $60, and you can get a full ounce now for $40. Since at least 2012, researchers predicted that the mature legalization price would be 1/10 of the cost of prohibition pot. And in some markets, those days are finally here. Top shelf eighths in Portland can be had for $18, and the bottom goes as low as $4 per eighth. So why is legalization prices crashing? RAND research has calculated that 90% of the prohibition price of pot could be attributed to the so-called risk premium, which is the extra amount shoppers pay to cover the risk of arrest, fines, and prison for growers, distributors, and sellers. The old risk premium, coupled with the high demand, it drove the price from cannabis to silly heights by the late 90s. So a pound of dried, cured OG Kush from California went for $5 per pound, and eighths in college went for $60. That was the standard price. Today, illicit outdoor farmers reported that they're lucky to get $500 a pound. This year, Oregon sits on a surplus of legal cannabis so big it'll take Oregonians 6.5 years to smoke it all, according to the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. Oregon has about 1,000 licensed growers with 1,200 more applications pending. Oregon licensees grew 2,000 tons of cannabis in 2018, and Oregon prices have fallen 36% since 2016. Consequently, Portland's $50 retail ounces have become the stuff of legend. Officials estimate that 55% of state smokers buy cannabis legally instead of the illicit market because prices are so cheap. That stands in contrast to California, where an estimated 80% of consumers remain in the illicit market due to high prices, taxes, and a few legal stores. In many respects, cannabis promises to follow in the footsteps of every other agricultural crop since the 30s. Industrialization and consolidation has driven the cost of food to near historic lows. When America decides it wants to grow anything, we grow a butt ton of it and farms go bust. In 2019, non-cannabis farm bankruptcies are at a decade-long high, driven by overproduction of soybeans and Trump's trade war with China. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, Americans in 1960 spent 17% of their household budget on food. Today, we spend 6.7% of our household budget on food. Produce is plentiful and cheap. Cannabis is heading that way. Cannabis has been commoditized, and commodities are a race to the bottom in terms of prices. And we're seeing that in California as flower is 77% more expensive than the black market. And so market share is declining according to a BDS analytics report. The market share of cannabis flower continues to fall in California, likely representing an even sharper decline for the rest of the United States. Data from BDS Analytics shows that cannabis flower had a 56% share of California's legal cannabis sales for the first quarter in 2017, but by the fourth quarter of 2018, it had fallen 34%, with an 8-point drop occurring between the fourth quarter of 2017 and the first quarter of 2018. Other consumption methods such as edibles and sublinguals saw modest gains as well. While flower fell 12 points between fourth quarter 2017 and 18, concentrates took over half of the lost market share, gaining 9 points according to BDS Analytics. The report notes that cannabis flower could see a further drop as the emergence of new product types and delivery mechanisms hit the market. BDS reported that soft gel pills, teas, gummies, disposable vapors, and live resin sauce all saw triple-digit gains between the fourth quarter of 2017 and the fourth quarter of 2018. When asked if there's a basement price for flower market share, it's been suggested that a further decline still could be on the horizon. Smoking will never go away completely, but the figures don't bode well for market share of cannabis flower in other states. And with that, we're going to roll this one up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.